for Leading Before the Title. Today, we are tackling one of the most critical gaps that we see in corporate world, the transition of high performing individuals into influential executive. Becoming a leader is fairly easy. Becoming an influencer is rarely is difficult. And I'm thrilled to join by Jill Avey, the founder of Sister Smart, to discuss her signature passport to promotion framework and why mastering the executive presence is the key to move forward in the corporate ladder. Please join me in welcoming Jill Avey. Jill, welcome to our show. How are you doing today?
Thanks so much. I'm doing great.
Awesome. Jill, to start with, we would want to seek your inputs on what does this phrase "leading before the title" means to you.
To me, it means that we're leaders at all levels and that it's never too early to start leading because you can always lead yourself. And that's where good leadership has to start because you can't lead others well if you can't lead yourself.
Absolutely. So, for Jill, it is self-leadership, and she rightly mentioned there is no age to become a leader. Uh, we are leading ourselves right after we take a birth. So, leading to self is the critical before we lead others. Now, Jill, you have primarily worked in a very male-dominated industry, and now you help women navigate their path from the corporate ladder, rising the corporate ladder. What, in your experience, you have seen the biggest misconception as to why our female leaders are not able to move into that corporate landscape?
I feel like the biggest one is that if I just keep working harder, that people will notice and then I will
Hmm.
get rewarded with the promotion.
Hmm. So just keep on working hard, and that's what will result
Right, you'll get better and
into
better at
promotion.
what you do, and some people do
Mm,
get promoted for that. If you're in a technical field, often you
mm,
have really good technicians are the ones that are becoming leaders, but that doesn't
got
always
it.
work that way, especially for women.
Yeah, yeah, and I understand it is there are many things that goes into the grind work of moving up to the ladder. Uh, Sometimes it is you need to have a champion at workplace who is
Hmm.
actually your well-wisher, promoting your work, because sometimes there are many people who will come to take the credit, and especially when things are going good. And there are only the genuine leader who will give the credit where it deserves, and
Right.
that is very few people. So
There's a lot of
now,
competition for that credit. It might be your peers and it might be your manager that's competing for that.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Jill, in my client framework, I talk about moving from invisible to becoming an influencer. And when I was doing my research, you also teach a lot about being seen is strategic. So,
Hmm.
so why do we see in corporate world the capable female leaders they resist visibility, and how, from your perspective, they can reframe it as a service to their organization?
Yeah, this is one of the things that really holds women back in particular because there there's a that study from Zanger Folkman where they looked at 1,360 reviews and they found that women outperformed men in 17 out of 19 of the leadership qualities. But down at the bottom, tied at the bottom, was technical abilities and strategic perspective. And so that
Mm,
um, that bit, and it's my view that it's not that they aren't good at these things; it's that they're not presenting themselves in a way that people can understand what they mean. And
mm,
so it's really important to be able to make the language shifts that you need to be able to talk about things so that people are understanding your impact, not just what you did. Because a lot of times people will talk about all the things that they've done, and so much, we're so busy and we're doing so much stuff, as if that's what senior leadership cares about. They don't really care
Mm.
about how busy you are. They care about what you're doing for the business.
Mm. Yeah, and also what I have seen is it's all about the impact you are making. It's all about the outcomes. It's not about the effort you are
Yeah,
putting. Yes, effort has its own role to play, but if those efforts are not resulting into the right output, then they are not being considered. So,
right,
also, as you
right.
mentioned about the language shift, um, the language shift, is it require at every level, Jill, from your perspective, or it is more prominent when you are at a leadership level?
I think that's a good question, because I think you have to shift your language going from individual contributor to team leader too, because all of a sudden
Mhm.
you need to start talking about we instead of I.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
then you're almost shifting back to I as a senior leader, because now you need to not talk too much in we. Like, you still need to show that you can lead a team and that it's your team's, you've brought your team up, but
Mhm.
it's not all about them, because if you make it all we, then they don't see what the impact was and what you actually did and how you contributed. So it's a balance of both. But we start to
Yeah.
see that coming in different ratios as you go up the ladder.
Yeah, and I think one of the um, common practice I have seen specifically when people moving from individual contributor to a leader is they try to hold information to themselves.
Yeah.
Um, and because of that inferiority complex or because of whatever reason, they try to control things their way. And that's where I see one of the bigger flaws, because as a leader, you are selected to lead the team for a reason. And if you keep the information to yourself, you are actually sabotaging yourself, because your team will not be able to function as effectively as they will if they have all the information. So, yeah.
Exactly. Plus,
Now,
you have to be transparency builds trust, and so you're also
mhm,
degrading the trust that your team has in you.
correct. Correct. Yes, absolutely. Now, Jill, your seven-step passport to promotion is a game changer for directors. A lot of people have taken advantage of this framework and being very, very successful. Without giving all the secrets, can you share what is the step that our women leaders should take in their current role so that they can lead to that next level? Any inputs from your end would be appreciated.
Yeah. So first we start with that self-leadership piece. So, how am I leading myself? How do I know myself? And then it's executive presence, like you talked about earlier, which is,
Mm,
what am I presenting to the world, and
mm,
how am I showcasing my abilities? And then we do what's called overcoming the busyness trap, which is what we were just talking about, that shift from doing and
yeah.
the wearing the badge of busyness to getting off the treadmill and focusing on what's really going to matter. And we have step 4 is about using neuroscience to inform how we communicate with people, so that we're creating conversations that build trust and psychological safety, so that everybody can be performing at their best. We were just
Mm,
talking about that. And then we do some emotional intelligence work so that we can develop our resilience, and that allows people to take more risk and have better decision making. And then we have women ask me for this module called toughening your skin, because they wanted
mhm,
to be able to take the knocks like they saw the guys doing. And so that's the 6th step. And then the 7th step is building that network of support, and then getting the visibility that we talked about in the very beginning.
mm.
And so that
Wow.
those 7 steps are, I did some research when I first became a coach, and I found that those were the things that were really hanging women up. And that when they unblock those, it's not all of leadership, of course, leadership's a lifelong study, but when they unblock those, it really sets the stage for them to be able to rise up, with much more speed and
Hmm.
ease than they would have
Yeah.
otherwise, and stay there once they get there, because often women will rise up but not have all those things working for them, and they will burn out because it's too much.
Hmm. Yeah. So, if someone, specifically a woman leader listening to us, who is stuck in her current role, despite of over delivering her results, despite of doing all the things that are required, but she's still stuck, what, from your perspective, she should do the first thing? And I know whatever we are talking about, it is not an overnight, it takes time, it's a
Mhm.
process. But where they should start, specifically the woman leader who is doing everything what is requires, over delivering her results, but still finding herself stuck.
Yeah.
What should be the first thing she should
I would have her start right where we start in our program, which is that self inquiry, to really understand who you are and what are
do?
you bringing when you walk into a room? Why are you there and what do you have to offer? Because when you
Mm,
understand that, it's going to fundamentally shift how you can talk about yourself and how you contribute.
mm. So, so again, going back to that self leadership, it's very, very important for you to know who you are, why you do what you do, and the environment that has shaped you. Because whatever we do, it depends on, not only on the classroom learning, but also the environment in which we grew, the way, we learned from our own leaders. So it's very, very
Exactly.
important for us to know that, right?
Yeah.
The other thing, what I have also, and I see you also talk about, handling the gender politics, is key to stepping into a VP role. What is one practical way for a woman leader to maintain her voice and confidence in the room, so that she is not the only one at the table? Uh, she can really foresee herself stepping up in the value chain. Um, so, what would be one practical advice for her to really command, the confidence and voice in the room, which is full by, other counterparts?
I'm going to answer that in two parts, because first you have to believe it. And I think that self belief is the thing that often holds leaders back, because
Hmm.
this move up is really a mindset game, and you have to promote yourself in your mind first before others are going to start to see you as that next level leader. And then once you do that, one of the things that women need to um, keep focused on, it's good for influence, it's good for their executive presence, and it's good for relationship building, is to maintain the warmth. A lot of times women will kind of pendulum swing and become very tough, and they think that they have to be as tough as the guys, or they have to be as tough as other leaders that they might see around them. And that generally backfires because it goes against our social conditioning. Both men and women like women who are warm. And so
Hmm.
men can go either way, and it doesn't matter as much. We'll tolerate that more of a coolness from men, but it doesn't fly for women. And so you can you can be as tough as you want, and you add a little warmth, and then it's going to carry over so much better. It'll be better received, and that's what we're really looking for, is how can our audience receive our message. And those little shifts like that can make a big difference.
Hmm. Wow, I think, that's a learning for me. As you mentioned that, the change in the way a male leader behave, or when they move from the coolness to the toughness,
Hmm.
is still okay. But, when that happens in the female leaders, that is not that, acceptable. And then we need to be mindful of that aspect, that how people are perceiving that aspect.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing, great talk. Now,
A lot of
if,
women will
sorry, go ahead.
get labeled as aggressive, or like
Mm.
sharp elbows or things like that, when they don't have that warmth.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's a combination of, that aggressiveness or that assertiveness, as well as the warmth. And I think the warmth is something that we all know comes naturally to, women leaders, as compared to the male leaders. So that is a kind of an, expectation to have from, the vast majority of employees. to see
Yeah.
that warmth coming in from that leader. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think a great point. Now, if women leaders who are listening to us and are thinking about how they can be part of your framework or your services, share with them who are the right people to make sure that they can work with you, because I understand that everyone will not be the right audience for you. So who are your key people that you tend to work with, and what should be their initial step if they're excited to work with you, what they should do first?
Oh, thanks so much. Our specialty is helping women in the middle of the pipeline. So they probably have some sort of team under them, and but not necessarily, but they've got responsibilities at the usually the director and VP levels. So our program is remarkably flexible, but that's really our sweet spot is helping women at director and VP move up to that next step. And so
Hmm.
the way that they can find me is I'm every day on LinkedIn. I post every day. I'm on LinkedIn every day. So that's an easy way to find us. But we also have a website at sistersmart.com.
Wow. And since you're talking about LinkedIn, in this AI world, the social media world, how critical or impactful it is for our female leaders to be vocal on social media, talking about their own leadership style. Is that something you promote, or something that you just advise them to be away from?
I almost every client I encourage to write on LinkedIn and post, once a week, even once a month to get their voice out and to get their voice heard. We have, I think, predominantly male voices in leadership. And early on, one of my clients encouraged me to be a bigger voice because she felt that we needed more women voices. And I started looking around. I was like, you're right, there's not that many. And I think
Mhm.
it's something that's maybe more natural for men to do, and or maybe women, that's something that falls off because they have so many other responsibilities. But I really like to encourage women to get out there, talk about what they're doing, because everybody benefits from it. And, we all benefit from learning from each other.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yes, all the leaders out there, if you're listening, be active on LinkedIn if you are in the corporate world.
Yeah.
Post. We are not expecting you to post every day, but at least once a week. Uh, Share your thoughts. Share the great things that are you doing at workplace, because the world needs to listen to those great things. Um, I see so many things happening in my career. I've seen great women leaders who have been doing amazing things for their team, but yes, not everyone gets to know about it. So it's
Right.
important that the world knows what all we are doing, what all great things we are doing.
It's so true.
Before I let you go, Joel, if a leader, specifically women leaders watching us, uh, what is one strategic leadership habit they can start practicing right from today or tomorrow that really gives a message to their leadership that they are operating at a different level? Uh, is there any magic bullet? Is there any inputs from your end that really signals them that they are operating at the next level?
The easiest shift, and I just put up a PDF, a link to a PDF last week on this, where I have a whole workbook full of these language shifts. But the easiest thing to change today that you could do in your very next conversation is start changing how you talk about things and start talking about the impact of what you did, not what you did. And
Mm,
that can happen right in this moment. And so you don't have to do anything different. You don't have to grow. You don't have to change. Plus, that stuff's really, really, really helpful. But today you can start talking about what you do differently.
absolutely. And I think what I would just add here is focus on the having that positive mindset, those positive thoughts,
Yeah. Yeah.
because when we overthink anything, it tends to become negative. And our words are contagious. When we speak, specifically as a leader, when you're talking, your words are containing those energies that vibe to your team
Yeah.
member. So if that those words are not positive, if your vibe is not positive, if your energy is not positive, it will not give the impact that you are really looking for. So
I'm a huge fan of
check
that.
on your mindset every time you're going in for a meeting. If something is not right, postpone the meeting if it is possible. I do understand client meetings cannot be postponed, but wherever it's possible, postpone. And yesterday I was at a charity event, and then what one thing I learned from the speaker, she mentioned that just whenever you are in a right not in a right frame of mind, just take a step back, sit down, lower your shoulder, and take a deep breath.
Yeah.
That really helps you, calming your energy, calming yourself, and then you are all set for the next action. So anyway, Jill, thank you for sharing your thoughts, sharing your wisdom. Today's conversation with you has made one thing very clear, that being seen isn't about the ego, it is about high level strategic move. Being visible on social media, it is just not about to know how many likes you have, how many shares you have. It is about sharing your message. It is about sharing your thought process with the people around the world. If
Mhm.
you are ready to grow in the leadership arena, check out our LinkedIn leadership sounding board. It's a group of people volunteering to share their perspective for your day-to-day challenge. It's absolutely free. It is people who are volunteering their time. So if you are stuck somewhere, if you really want to have a different perspective, check it out. Leadership sounding board. It's a new platform. It's not that active. We are making it work. We are trying to see how we can help the aspiring leaders. With that said, thank you,
Fantastic.
Jill, for joining us today. And listeners, do share comments on what you like in today's episode, and look forward to broadcasting the next episode soon. Thank you.
Oh, thanks so much for having
Mhm.
me.
Yeah, bye bye.